Hi everybody, Rick Abbott with UberX.us. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be an Uber driver? Maybe you're already an UberX and you just want to be the very best that you can be. Well, stay with me for just a few moments. I'm going to share with you everything that you need to know to be a fantastic Uber driver. Hi, this is a series of videos, driver development videos, if you will, that are really going to help you to be the very best Uber driver that you can be. We're going to start with the very basics, how to get involved, getting started with Uber, and then I'm going to share with you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned to be the very best and to maximize your earning potential. One of the questions that gets asked to me several times every night that I'm out is, why am I doing this? Is this fun? This is absolutely the most fun that I've ever had being an Uber driver. I've made more money in other careers, but I've not had as much fun. Every trip is unique. You never quite know who you're going to pick up. I've had the opportunity to pick up some pretty famous people, musicians and sports personalities. I've also picked up some people that really shouldn't have been out late at night. I picked up college students, stay-at-home moms, you name it, the whole gamut of humanity. And I've really had a lot of fun doing it. And so I want to just share with you some of the things that I've learned and really help you to get started. If you've never signed up for Uber, I want to encourage you to click a link below. It's drive.uberx.us, and when you click that link, you're going to be taken to the Uber sign-up page. You'll get immediately from me a $100 sign-in bonus, and I think that's a really great way to start your career, is with a nice little bonus. If you've already signed up with Uber, well, I want you to stay with me, and we're going to kind of share with you some great things that you need to know. Now, to start with Uber, you need to be at least 21 years of age with 3 years of driving experience. Uber's not looking for people who've just learned how to drive. They want people who have a little bit of experience. The more experience, obviously, the better that you're going to be as a driver. But you need to have that basic minimum. You need to have an in-state driver's license for the state that you're in, and you have to have a clean driving record. Now, I get all the time, what does clean mean? Well, you know, if you've had a few speeding infractions, that's not going to hold you up. Really, they're looking at reckless driving, fatal car wrecks, DUIs, drug or alcohol-related arrests, things of that nature. So if you're behind on child support, or if you've run a few stop signs, that's really not the kind of thing that they're too worried about, but you really shouldn't be doing that anyway. So you need to be able to pass that background check, and the background check is going to be looking at that kind of thing. The next thing you need to consider is your vehicle. So you may qualify, but does your vehicle qualify? Well, there are several levels of Uber. There's UberX, and that's really where the focus of this whole series is going to be about, the basic Uber driver. UberX, Uber XL, Uber Select or Plus, Uber SUV, Uber Black, Uber, there's a ton of them. Somebody said there was like 15 different levels. I've seen 5 or 6 levels. There's an Uber Pool Share. There's a bike messenger service in New York. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but we're going to be focusing on the UberX. The UberX is going to be a 2000 model or newer, and in some locations it needs to be newer than that. Just make sure that it's a decent working vehicle. So it needs to be the newer the better. So look at it that way. If you're driving a 1969 Nova, it's not going to cut it. But you need to have a 2000 model or newer. Check your local restrictions. Some states, some cities require newer vehicles. I think there's one area that requires that the vehicles be 2 or 3 years old. So it needs to be a 2000 model or newer. It needs to be a good, clean working vehicle, not something that's all banged up. It needs to have 4 doors, and with yourself, it has to have 4 other seats that have seat belts, so that you can carry 4 guests, and that's going to happen a lot. So a 4-door sedan, you can't have a 2-door, you can't have, I'd say, a pickup truck, but a lot of pickup trucks now have 4 doors. In fact, in my market, there is a guy that's driving a 4-door pickup truck, but it should be a good working vehicle. It cannot have any company decals on it, so if you're working for Joe's Plumbing during the day, you can't drive Joe's Plumbing vehicle at night. So it has to be free of any decals. It can't be a taxi. So those of you that are looking at switching over from being a taxi driver, you need to have a different vehicle. You can't use a taxi cab. It's probably going to need an inspection. Some locations have inspections, some do not. And really has to do with the proximity to an Uber office, I think. But make sure that that vehicle can pass that inspection. And again, look at your city's requirements for where you are, whether you need to have one of those or not. It needs to have a clean title. Don't get some car that's been wrecked and fixed up again. So it does need to have a clean working title. And it needs to be registered in the state where you're driving. Now, it does not mean that it needs to be registered to you, but it does need to be registered. It needs to be titled, and the tags need to be current. But it does absolutely have to be in the state where you're located. So you can't bring a car in from another state. They want local cars. So let me talk about some of the other vehicles that are available besides the UberX. You've got your UberXL. UberXL is going to be your minivans, full-size vans, vehicles that can carry 6 passengers or more. You're going to get a higher premium for that, having that kind of vehicle, but you're also going to be carrying a lot more passengers. You have Uber Plus Select, which is going to be a luxury 2007 or newer, and those are going to be, Lincoln, Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, Chrysler 300, those kinds of things. Then the SUV is an approved SUV that has to be at least within the last 3 years of purchase. So as I'm doing this, it's the end of 2015, 2015, and you're going to be looking at 2012 or newer vehicles, and they get a higher premium. The Uber Lux, in some cities they have the luxury. These are going to be your top-end luxury vehicles. But again, we're focusing just on the UberX, the base model. So it's again a 4-door sedan, and it's the kind of thing that you see almost everybody has. So we're going to really focus on how to do it with that. As I close, one of the things that gets asked of me a lot is, who would make a good Uber driver? Well, who wouldn't? I honestly think that's the easier question. There's only one person that I think would not be a good fit for this job, and that would be the single parent, because you will go online, you get a ride request, you have to find somebody to watch your kids, then that ride is a short ride, you're picking the kids up, and you're sitting around for another hour, and then you go, it's just back and forth. And a lot of times that's what this job can be. So I think it would be very difficult for a single parent, but everybody else would qualify. It's going to be great for the student as long as they're 21 years of age and have a local driver's license and vehicle. It's going to be great for the retired person. Man, I think this would be an amazing career for a retired person, but I've not seen that yet. I know there are a few, but I've just not met them yet. It's a great career for somebody who has a day job and needs to make a little bit of money at night, and so you can work 1 night, 4 nights, whatever you need to make a few $1,000s extra here and there. Really, just about anybody would be a good fit for this. You have to love driving, and you have to love people. One of the things that I'm going to be focusing on as we get into this series of videos is the positive attitude. There's other places that you can go here on YouTube, on the web, where you're going to find people who give a fair criticism of Uber and Lyft and some of the other driving services. I'm not that guy. I'm very biased. I'm in favor of Uber, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity. So you're not going to get a lot of the negative here. It's out there. I'm just not going to touch on that. I think you need to have a positive attitude. Just get rid of the negative and go for it. So have that positive attitude, and I hope that I can share with you some of the things that I do to make sure that I keep a positive attitude, and it really reflects in the fares that I get, the 5-star ratings that I get, and some of those things that really make my trip enjoyable. I have a lot of fun with what I do. There are times when I think I'm going to work till only a certain hour, and I wind up pushing a few more hours because I'm having so much fun. I come home at 3:30 in the morning, and I wake my wife up because I have to tell her about this really amazing ride that I just had. It might have been the last one or one that was a few hours before. And I'm going to share some of those stories with you, some of the great rides that I've had, just really hilarious rides. And I want you to have that same kind of experience. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I do. Again, if you've not signed up yet, go ahead and click that link below, drive.uberx.us, and sign up. Do it right now. Go ahead and sign up, because the next video that we're going to talk about is going to be how long to wait the process takes. And it does take a week or two to kind of get through that process. So the faster you start, the faster your opportunity to start making money. I'm going to be talking about so many things that are going to really help you out. How to really prep your car to make sure that it's exactly the way that it should be. How to ensure that you have the best Uber experience for your passengers, making sure that they have an excellent experience. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about making sure that you have efficient routes. How to make sure that you don't use so much data on your phone, because that's also a concern. Every Tuesday, I'm going to be releasing a question of the week. So if you've got a question, I encourage you to quickly shoot that over to me. I've got a few already queued up, some questions that we're going to do, but give me your question. Go ahead and put it in the comments here below, or shoot me an email, rick@uberx.us, and I will be glad to be putting some of those comments up and answering some of those questions. I think I know all the questions, and then somebody throws something at me. It's like, wow, I've never had that one before. We're going to talk about some of the other benefits of driving for Uber besides the income, some of the rewards that you get, some of the challenging customers, some of the things that you can do to really make this thing a lot of fun. So I hope you join me. I'm in a small market, Bowling Green, Kentucky. We have about 65,000 residents here. I think there's like 20,000 of that maybe are college students. So, you know, we are definitely a college town. Uber is a relatively new market here. And I think that you'll find that if you're doing this in LA, you're doing this in New York, or you're doing this in a similar small market, you can have just as much fun. Just make sure you keep that positive attitude, and it's an amazing experience. So I hope you subscribe. I hope you join us as we go along this journey together. Mercedes, BMWs, so forth. Some of those high-end cars, and those do have the top-end money. And that's the problem with that's the problem with videoing on a golf course that's next to an airport.